Hello everybody, welcome back for more While Civilization Start Over. In last episode, we saw the beginning of World War VI, which is gonna be a pretty interesting one. We're gonna pick up where the fighting started, because this escalated from a smaller war into a full-on World War. So, Chad will actually, within the time everything started to escalate rapidly, Chad will be fully taken out of the war with uh Sudanese and Egyptian troops taking rest of the capital. I mean, not capital, country. And then uh the Sudanese will enter South Sudan, take its capital, meet up with Ethiopia and Somalia, and this whole front in Africa is gonna go by really fast since these are much weaker countries. And yeah, the Afghan front gets finished within a couple weeks of the war beginning. But this is where there's gonna be a common interest agreement between India and Georgia, because here's the thing: what really led into World War VI was China attacking Japan and Netherlands attacking communist Germany. So these guys really don't have any aggression towards each other. And also we had like all of these people getting pissed at each other. Mainly the hostility towards communists, the European communists, while the Asian and Middle Eastern communist countries are pretty chill with each other, with exception of China. Pretty much everybody here is mad at China. So what I'm saying is the communists and the UN will actually be holding a joint front line over here in attempts to try push Egypt out of the area. So we're gonna focus on this front line. Now sadly, it's not gonna be as easy for them, because now that the whole African fascist front is in the war, they are able to push back Georgia and take this land. Now, there's one thing that the fascist order tells Egypt: they have to resurrect Iraq, but Egypt will kind of do a silly thing and only give them this land. They will keep their capital though, but Egypt wants to keep rest this, and the fascist orders okay, whatever, just as long as we have our ally back. And Egypt's yeah, they're not a puppet state at all. And they're wait, what? And Egypt's nah, nothing. Just slip of the tongue. So yeah, that's what's going on over there. Now, here's the big fuck of the war. I don't know why I said like that. But yeah, America's about to go shit with the communists and the fascists starting all the fighting in Africa. Yeah, this is Africa. Good job, me. In the Americas, with California entering to Arizona, and California's pretty strong, but they aren't like able to take the whole country out. While over here, the communists, like all these communist nations, are gonna start to expand into the democratic nations. So yeah, we have New York pushing in to Michigan over here, taking a few major cities. Carolina will push in and take 2 cities, but won't advance much further. But this is where a lot of the fighting for the communists will be, is in Florida against Louisiana, because Louisiana and Mexico are mainly focusing on this front line. And down here, you see, Mexico's crazy strong, so they don't have any issues entering to the Yucatan Peninsula and taking all of it. And even, they are even doing some stuff over here. This navy layer looks terrible. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just make a new one for this war, because I'm not dealing with it. So yeah, yeah, Mexico has their whole navy like mobilized at this point, and Mexico has some of the largest navy in the world, and they will start heading towards Cuba. Now, of course, this isn't like realistically how this front looks. Sorry, 1 second. And that freaking piss. I don't know why. But yeah, this is kind of what the naval front line here looks like, with Mexico and Cuba having some naval skirmishes. Louisiana is also involved on this. Florida's like fighting these two with Cuba. Carolina and New York aren't really fighting, but they are like on high alert, ready to fight. And California, well, I think most of us can probably predict how California's navy's looking. Yeah, California has complete naval dominance over here, except for against Mexico. And Alaska has pretty decent navy here. And let's see, Panama has this. Ecuador has all of this. Guyana, I think this is, has all of that. Now, over here it's mainly Egypt and Sudan and Ethiopia who really control like the waters around the Horn of Africa. We have Iberia mainly occupying all these waters, with France also up in here. The Netherlands around here, that's pretty big for the Netherlands. Yeah. And Germany is actually kind of going to be the interesting naval front, considering there's two opposing navies right between the UN. And yeah, Norway has all of these waters. India basically is controlling most of the waters around here. This isn't really just India though. It's like the whole alliance. They just like grouped together under one like alliance navy. Vietnam has this similar thing with uh the Philippines as India, and with Taiwan also. They're all like under one united navy. China though, they have a lot of naval assets. And Japan also has a lot of naval assets in this area. I don't know why the waters around Japan look like this. But yeah, this is kind of how their navy's looking. I want to like illustrate this throughout the war, but the reason why we're illustrating it is the first naval landing will happen in this war right now. I'm gonna turn off Navy layer for right now, because where this landing is gonna be in Cuba by the Mexicans, and they're gonna be trying to focus on taking out communist Cuba. The communists, right? Yep. And yeah, that's what the fighting in America is looking like. The good thing for the UN, though, in America before we leave, is that the new route are kind of doing a good job against Yukon and against the fascists in the Americas. They even take the capital, and they're holding a pretty good front line around here and here. Yeah, this is mainly because only ones like on this front line for the fascists is these two. Well, Alaska, California, and Idaho are working together to work on like continental America. But it's still continental up there. You know what I mean. But anyway, now for where all went to hell. Europe. And for now I'm gonna have to turn off the alliance layer, because what's happening here is kind of what led this all to become a world war, where the Netherlands enters into communist Germany and takes the capital with the help of Poland pushing into fascist Germany and taking a city. But they aren't like fully focusing on that because they're kind of being invaded by Moscow and Belarus. But they kind of want to try push into Germany first, seeing as that they're the weaker target. And if they can link up with the Netherlands, they'll be able to turn around and fight Moscow and the whole communist world up here. And that's their plan, basically. Wrong alliance, Slayer. So yeah. So they are gonna have a fun time trying to defend though, because yeah, it's Moscow and Belarus are kind of strong countries, and they're only able to push back a little bit. Now, and then what doesn't help either is the fact that down here, Ukraine is quickly taken by the communist forces, and they're also fighting up in here. Now, Moscow's gonna be like, hey, Georgia, you're gonna help us invade them, right? And Georgia kind of doesn't want to help Moscow invade Caucasia because they're kind of trying, like, not piss off India, because they can see the communists win the war if India doesn't attack the communists. So that's like the whole thinking here. So the Georgia's gonna say no, and Moscow's gonna be like, really? Are you serious right now? You're not gonna help us take out the UN and turn the world into a whole communist world order? That's stupid. Why? And Georgia's like, we just want to survive. And this is where, like, a lot of soldiers in Georgia's military will start to defect over towards a more radical version of communism against the Georgian government. And it gets so bad so fast because a lot of communist diehards will rebel away from Georgia, and they will be like, Georgia should be loyal to all communist nations. And yeah, the Georgian Civil War begins as their troops just start like fighting against the loyal troops. It's a clusterfuck. It's basically how communist do you want to be kind of war situation. And it's kind of a little violent and in direct violation of what Georgia wants. These troops will enter in to help Caucasia out, and Moscow will be happy with them, and they will send troops to help this rebellion. And now Georgia falls from being like a democratically friendly communist nation to one that is strongly against the communists. I'm strongly against the UN now. And when this happens, India decides, you know what, attack the communist Georgians. Same thing with this country, whatever fucking hell it is called. They're attacked and quickly annexed. And yeah, now they're fighting a very radicalized Georgia. So that's fun. And what's even more fun is how violent this front line is. Because, you see, China and Japan hate each other. And they're fighting really, really gruesomely. To a point where we're gonna look at this map. we haven't seen this in a while. Now, why are we looking at this map, you're probably asking? Oh, yeah. Oh, China, what you doing? Any Japanese, any, person who, aligns himself with Japan is kind of being, uh, reduced, as China calls it. And, yeah, uh, this gets them a very bad look. But they're not the only country that's doing this. Because, California is also very, evil in their ways. And any citizen that doesn't agree with the Californian Empire will also be reduced. And yeah, the communists and fascists are pretty evil, and especially over here, yeah, that's not what should be happening. What are you doing, Egypt? Oh, anybody who agreed with communism is being reduced as well. Oh, that's putrid. Why? Oh, and then South Sudan also. Jeez. And yeah, the cities is worse. Yeah. This isn't just like a regular war. This is a war of hatred. And a lot of countries are seeing what's going on, and they will actually join the war to help the side that they believe is fighting for the right cause. And the side that wants to save the people from this horrific war. And the countries that will be joining are Algeria, Italy, Tunisia, North China, Bhutan, Mongolia, Earl, Siberia. Wait, that's the yellow countries. Manchuria. This is Mongolia. And the most surprising of all, Ontario and Maine will both join this war. And here's an interesting reason why. They didn't join this war originally, not because they didn't want to, but because they were working on something together behind the scenes to bring back a large power that used to rule this area. And this is also why Nunavut has been successful, because Ontario was secretly in this war the whole time, but the country isn't. Now, what does that mean? Well, what it means is pretty simple, if you really think about it, because Ontario, Maine, and Nunavut will all unite to reform the Canadian Empire. And they're too similar of a color right now to, I don't know. But yes, the Canadian Empire has returned, and they want to get rid of the evil communists and the evil fascists in their country. Sorry if I sound a little slow with how I'm saying things. Throat's a little sore and partially tired. What color do I want them as? Yes, this deep dark purple is beautiful for them. So yeah, so now with the Canadian Empire returned, not as a fascist empire, as a democratic empire as they put it, they will fully get involved in this war, and they will first focus on taking out the Yukon and pushing towards this city as well and taking it. So the Yukon's starting to get obliterated, and they will even lose this city, and in an attempt to still survive after this war, they will surrender now. And this is when the Canadian Empire decides, okay, next target, hey, California, how are you? It's been a while. Yep, California will be invaded by the Canadians, and they will lose 3 cities. This will send California's leader in a fit of rage. He will order his troops to steamroll through the rest of Arizona, and they will take the whole state, not whole state, the whole country, and then it'll be like, steal as many resources, kidnap as many people, put them on this front line. We're not dealing with the Canadians. And yeah, they're gonna use some very questionable tactics to fight back against Canadians. And the Canadians are kind of smart because they know if they go after Idaho, they might be able, weaken California, because California would want to, protect Idaho, right? They care about them, right? Oh, wait, California, what are you doing? Yeah, California is really angry, and they believe, Idaho letting Canada into their country was Idaho's fault. And basically, this is this world's version of the Armenian genocide, where California will put all their failures on the shoulders of innocent people. Yeah, the communists, the fascists are very evil people, and Canada will take this opportunity, take the rest of Idaho, and they will now have a huge front line they're sharing with California. They will span theirs right here. California will push back in Idaho and push the Canadians back here. So now the front line's more so long here now. And keep in mind, Dakota is a fascist nation, and Canada's against them. And yeah, I think you know what I'm about to. Yeah, Dakota quickly falls. Now, Canada isn't gonna be sending any troops fight down here. They decide that they want to focus on the fascists first, And then once they're gone, they'll worry about the communists. Meanwhile, Kansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, that's not Oklahoma, that's Missouri, Michigan will all focus on the communists over here. Which, how is it going for the communists? So Carolina's able to take more land out of Missouri. Michigan's actually able to push back New York, surprisingly. And here, well, to put it bluntly, Florida's kind of screwed in this situation because Louisiana's kind of one of the strongest countries in the Americas at this point. Mexico has also seen a lot of success. They are the second strongest. Alright, so let me clarify actually. So here's how it is. We have at number 1, Canada, 2 is Mexico, 3 is California, 4 is Louisiana, 5 is New York, 6 is Carolina, 7 is probably Alaska, 8 is Kansas, 9 is Missouri, and 10, I don't want to include Panama. This 10 is probably, well, was Idaho, but they've been destroyed, so, oops. So yeah, that's kind of how the power rankings of this war is going on with America. Now, let's go back to Europe. I mean, not Europe, Africa. This is supposed to be all one color now. So, what's going on with Africa? Well, you see, now that Africa's kind of like finished up here with these two countries, and having these two abruptly join the war, they're gonna focus on Algeria first. And this is kind of where Egypt's gonna start seeing some problems in this war, because they're being spread too thin. Because realistically, Egypt is like fighting up like through here. They have troops here. They have troops occupying here. They have troops occupying here. The troops are starting to get worn thin. So they're gonna be looking to see if any democratic countries in Africa are willing to help them defeat Algeria. And more notably, some countries that were previously like under control of Algeria. And a few countries will be like, we kind of do want some revenge on Algeria, and we want to fight them. So, actually 3 countries will be joining the war on side Egypt. Mali, Cameroon, and I think was I call this? No, that was Nigeria, Congo, and Mali. Wow, I'm very bad at remembering names. But yeah, that'll be where we end it in this episode. Next episode, we'll see the continuation of World War VI. See you guys next time.